Hello, welcome to Senior Connections. This is your monthly show talking about older adults, and it's brought to you by Senior Resources, your local area agency on aging. We're here to try to help serve older adults 60 and over, people with disabilities, and their caregivers. We're here to help you navigate what can be a very confusing network of services that are here in Muskegon County, and we try to inform and assist people in a variety of questions that they might have, from long-term care options to cost of services, prescription benefits, Medicare assistance, and much more. And it's my pleasure this month in December to welcome two of my wonderful coworkers, Virginia Vazquez and Robbi Juergens. Welcome, ladies. I'm excited to have you. I know you're excited to be here. Yeah. So Virginia and Robbi have a lot of things that they do at Senior Resources. They wear multiple hats. One of the things that they do together is the Caregiver Support Group, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's a really important topic any time of year, but with the holidays, probably even more so. But before we do that, let's get to know each of you a little bit so our viewers know more about you. Virginia, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about your background and your work experience before you came to Senior Resources and what you do here?
I started 4 years ago, and my first job was in Pathways, which is the first step of trying to help people 60 and over and give them all the resources they need and they don't know they exist. So I try with those people that were in need, and then getting into my my people, I found out that I need to do more for them, and the best way to do it was at Senior Resources with all the help they can give us to provide to these people. So as you can notice for my accent, I wasn't born in this country, but I came here 15 years ago, and my goal now is to do as much as I can for people who need our help and nobody's taking care of them. So my job right now at Senior Resources is to be a support coordinator. That means that my program provides these people 60 and over with all the needs, like at home, people to help them with providing food or making food or cleaning or respite. And basically, is that what we need?
Exactly. And so because you are not originally from the U.S. and you are very fluent in both English and Spanish, you are one of the two people we have on staff who's frequently called upon for translation services. So important to know, I think, that if you or someone you know are a Spanish speaker natively, then we have Virginia and Kim Vazquez who can help with that. That should never be a barrier to getting services, and I think that's really important.
Not at all. I am receiving calls all the time. Virginia, can you help me? Someone's speaking Spanish and I don't know what to do, and I go to the phone, and I'm very glad to do that because people speaking Spanish also need help.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Robbi, tell us a little bit about what you've done before you came here and how long you've been with Senior Resources.
Okay. 4 years ago, I also started with Virginia. We were in Pathways together. And then I did a year of an options counselor. So when you call Senior Resources, you get the intake options counselors. So I did a year of that, which is long-term care planning for people who need help for their loved ones. And I learned a lot about long-term care Medicaid. And then 2 years ago, I went into the Medicare and Medicaid Assistance Program. So I'm now the regional coordinator for the MAP office for Muskegon, Ottawa, and Oceana County. So we are Medicare counselors. We help people navigate Medicare, the beast that it is. And then Virginia and I also do evidence-based classes. So we teach matter of balance classes together, diabetes path classes, chronic pain classes,
and chronic diseases.
And chronic disease.
You've done a lot of them just in the couple years I've been there, because I think it was just one or two of those at first.
And recently we got the master in trainers.
So
we train.
So you can
train people now.
Trainers now.
Yes.
Excellent. So it's really fortunate for everybody that we have two of you who have so many skills and passion, and the passion is really, really key there. So before we go into caregiver support, you mentioned the Medicare Medicaid Assistance Program. We've just completed open enrollment, and the beast that it is such a great way of doing that. And you are one part-time person devoted to that with some phenomenal volunteers. And we've had you on before previously, but can you tell us a little bit about how that went this year? Phenomenal savings for our participants. as I
It
recall.
was. It was amazing. By helping people change their prescription drug plans or their Advantage plans, or screening them for maybe assistance programs in the community. In our region, we talked to or saw over 1,600 people just in those 2-month period, and we saved them $331,000.
That's a phenomenal amount.
On
Now,
their
that isn't
healthcare.
just Muskegon, that's Oceana and Ottawa as
Correct.
well, but a lot of
Correct.
it in Muskegon. And how
Yes.
many volunteers roughly do you have throughout the 3-county area? Not to put you on the spot with that, but.
About 20.
And they
I
go
do
through a
believe.
pretty intensive, as do you.
They do.
And our options counselors, who also are versed in this, go through a lot of, and supports coordinators, go through a lot of training for that, right?
Yes, 40 hours of training.
And they have to do that with touch-ups on that every year, right?
Correct.
Because things change every year.
Correct.
Government loves to do that for
Yep.
us. So phenomenal thing, keep that in mind next year when that comes, because there can, even with the same, nothing's changed in your life, but the formularies and all kinds of things
Yes.
change every year, what's covered.
Everything
So
changes.
it's always a good thing to know that that's free help and unbiased help.
Unbiased.
So that's really important. But let's talk about what you two are doing together currently. We just celebrated National Caregiver Month in November, and I'm going to share a few statistics that I found. A 2015 report from AARP estimated that in the U.S. there's a little over 34 million Americans who are providing unpaid care to an older adult, and for AARP purposes it's 50 and over, while for us it's 60. But over 34 million people had done that in the prior year. Majority, about 60%, are female, but there are still a significant amount of men doing that. And about 85% are caring for a relative, with almost half of that being for a parent or a parent-in-law. 1 in 10 cares for a spouse. And nearly 1 in 10 caregivers is 75 or older themselves, which is an amazing thing to think about. It's not like our age, younger, that are caring for our parents. 75-year-olds caring either for parents or spouses or an aunt or just a neighbor. So the last statistic I had heard from Michigan was that there were about 1.3 million people caring for an adult 50 and over. Most of those are women, and 60% are still employed, either full or part-time, which is really, I guess not astonishing, but something to be concerned about. You're trying to work, and I just remember doing that with kids and trying to juggle all of that, and then juggling all these other things when now role reversals have happened. So the holidays are here, and sometimes that's when we see loved ones that we haven't seen for a while, so a really important time for us to talk about this. So Virginia, tell us a little bit about the Caregiver Support Group. When does it meet? Is there a cost?
No, there's no cost, and we meet every Friday at Tanglewood Park, where Senior Resources has their offices, and it starts at 1 o'clock, and we finish at 2:30. What we're trying to do is from 1 to 1:30, always is coming someone to talk about a topic they are interested in. Example, tomorrow we have a nutritionist coming and tell them, as caregivers, how they have to be eating. They have to be eating appropriately to take care of someone. So you cannot be eating whatever when you have to be healthy.
So they get a lot of advice probably on what to feed your loved one that you're caring for, but
Also,
you're dealing
but
with, you as the caregiver
Yes.
need to also take care of yourself. It's like I always say, it's like on the airline where they say take the oxygen mask for yourself first.
And then, exactly. If you don't take care of yourself, how are you taking care of others? You can't. So we're focusing in that, taking care of the caregiver. And as I said, we don't charge anything. Everybody is very welcome to come every Friday to Tanglewood Park. And at 1 o'clock we're starting. After 1:30, when the speaker is gone, we have our conversations. Everybody is allowed to say whatever they feel they want, or whatever they want. Because I know, and we realize of that, they cannot talk to anybody because nobody can understand them. The caregiver is a person who is having all on the shoulders, everything. And when I'm saying everything, I mean food, shopping, cleaning, cooking, everything. So, we're trying to do the best we can to help them. And we are very happy with that right now because we're having a nice feedback.
Good. Robbi, do they need to come every week? Is it something where they'll miss something if they don't come every Friday?
No, they do not have to come every week. They don't even have to call. They can drop in whenever they are available. The only thing that they would miss is the topic of that day, but we keep the handouts and give it to them. They have a notebook that they can put all their information in. So we'll keep the handouts for them and maybe catch them up. But we have people that come once a month or every week.
And there's topics that you plan out ahead of time, because I know that I put them up on our Facebook, and they're usually on our website, seniorresourceswmi.org, or find Senior Resources of West Michigan on Facebook, and those are up there. So maybe one topic is more interesting and another one isn't, because it's not all caregiving situations are not all the same.
Correct.
What if they are the sole provider of care and they don't have an option? It's hard for them to come, because what do they do with their loved one? Do we have any options for that?
We have respite care that is available to people who want to come to the caregiver support group. And we have a couple of people that are using it and are very happy with it.
And how does that work?
They actually go to adult day across the street, and it is paid for while they're in class.
Or the red hat.
Or, yeah.
Or we can provide respite at home.
Okay.
If the patient cannot leave the house, we send the respite there.
Okay. So it's taken care of, so that doesn't need to be a barrier for people.
No barrier.
So that's really great. So Virginia, what kind of things does it offer to those attending? What does the caregiver support group do for them, do you think?
They do support. Support. We are trying to give them the support they don't have in the family. Many people we met already, they don't know what to do. Sometimes they call kids, they call sisters, brothers, and what should I do? So when they come to us, they find resources that we have and the caring hug that we can give them, that nobody gives them, and they can have also instructions about the disease of the participant, the patient they're having at home. Many people are coming with the Alzheimer's problem, so we are giving them a lot of instructions of what is next, what is next, and what is next. And not because we know a lot and we know everything, but we try to bring people from the Alzheimer's Association to help us and give them help.
Robbi, what kind of things have you seen in the group? Do you see friendships form or advice shared between them, or what?
Everything. It's amazing, the friendships that have been formed amongst themselves and even with us. It feels really good. Every time we see everybody, we hug when we say hello, and we hug when we say goodbye. We have two ladies that are vacationing in Florida right now, and they're both caring for their husbands, and they're both in the same city. So they're going to continue their support together while they're in Florida during the winter. The friendships, they're fun to watch, and the blossoming. And we had one lady come and she cried all the time. And now she comes and she's totally different.
Totally different.
Totally
Everybody's
different.
saying you are not the same person that came here, because she can put everything on the table, and some others were saying, no, if you do this, maybe it's better, or if you do this, maybe it's better. And she started to do things that she never thought about.
Yeah, we have the resources to give them about where to go, but the others have resources amongst themselves. Now, the caregiver support group isn't just for dementia, of course, it's for everything. But right now, they kind of just help each other with this works or this doesn't work, or I tried this. And all of their stories are so different. All of their loved ones are at different stages where it's, I don't know, it's really nice to see them all helping each other.
How many roughly are in there right now on average? I know it's different.
In an average, we can say 8, 10.
And are
Not
most
really.
of them situations where they're caring for spouses or parents, or both? Or is it a mix?
Most are spouses.
Most are spouses, but there's a few parents in there.
And I'm very proud of one of our guys. He is taking care of his wife, and he's I'm proud of him. Such a good guy. I'm always, every Friday I'm leaving saying, I hope my husband can do the same for me.
So there are males in the group.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Which goes back to our statistic, yes, 60% are women, but certainly not all of them. So how long have you two been facilitating this group together?
It's been a year now.
year?
Okay. And what kind of training, did you have to go through any training for it? I mean, empathy, and caring,
I
and
think
passion?
the only training personally I have is through my job, going to visit people and finding the caregiver at home desperate. And from seeing that, I says, we have to do something for them. We have to. Then I convinced Robbi and we started.
Great, wonderful. So, any other stories you can share with, obviously we can't share any names, but things you've seen that, I like the story about the woman who was tearful so often and then how that's come around. I sat through one session once and found it very interesting, but what is it like typically? I think when I went, you weren't doing that half an hour talk, so it was really just all sharing, which was pretty amazing to see. It was obvious that they had some deep friendships that had developed there.
They do.
Usually we want that. When the speaker is done, we are alone. Nobody else can come because what it says there stays there and nobody else talks about it anymore. And they feel confident that if they talk, nobody else is going to talk about it. So experience, sometimes they leave and my tears are rolling because they're so nice stories that love. They love the loved ones and they're taking care with, sometimes afraid of doing the right things. And they find with us, I think, I hope, because they said that, they find a place where they can learn, they can share, and they can trust on us.
We have one lady whose husband has passed, and she's still coming because
still
she
coming.
still needs the support. She needs the hugs, and
And she's a sweetie.
she is. She is. We love every one of them, but we bring in flyers for what might be going on in the community. So then we're tapping into other things that they can do. Now she's volunteering, and it's
Something
just
with
really
children.
nice. Yep.
But she feels very good.
So
with
she
it.
developed the friendships that make her want to come in there,
yeah.
even though she's not actively a caregiver right
Correct.
now, right? Well, let's take a break just to talk about, in addition to that, we'll come back to the caregiver support group. There is other information that we have on our website, which is www.seniorresourceswmi.org, or you can always just Google or do a search for Senior Resources West Michigan. So if we were to look, and if I had my screen here to show you, under the resources section there is a caregiver corner tab, and I'm sure your participants know about that you've shown them those resources. So that lists the support groups for the support groups in Muskegon, which is the one we're talking about, but there are also support groups in our other counties. And for anybody who has a caregiver situation in another community, I'm sure you can find some of the same things. So the support groups are listed, as well as any classes that we offer, and we do offer Savvy Caregiver classes at different times during the year, which is specifically for somebody caregiving with somebody with dementia. We have a newsletter a variety of newsletters and publications. So one of our a regular newsletter comes out every month. First week of the month is the Caregiver link, and that is something that you can find more information about. Under the Contact Us tab, you can send in questions, and that comes through me, and I forward that on to an options counselor. So it can be about caregiving or anything else with long-term care options or anything that you're concerned about. You can, you think of a question at 10 o'clock at night, and we're not at the office at 10 o'clock at night, but you can send it and be assured it comes right to me, and I forward it to the appropriate person. But it's a really wonderful thing to know that sometimes at 1 in the morning something pops up and we want to remember it, and it's a great thing to use. Under the Publications tab is where all our print materials are. Senior Perspectives, our bi-monthly newspaper that comes out. 60 Seconds, which is an electronic newsletter that comes out every month. And that Caregiver link that we mentioned that it's only about 4 or 5 pages, but it's always got some really great information. Frequently a column from a local physician. There's usually a book review, some questions and answers, sometimes some helpful hints on whatever is happening at that time of year, something about Christmas, ways to involve your loved one in some holiday traditions, for example. It's a really great piece. And then under our programs is our newest program, which is Care Connections, and it's another way to kind of get some respite for a caregiver. We've had Mike Fields on about that before, and that is a non-medical companion care program where we have some staff that will come into your home for at least 2 hours at a time, once a week or more than that, Monday through Friday, and it's another way to give respite for a caregiver. So it may be that somebody has had a stroke, for example, and needs to have some help with some hand-eye coordination, fun activities. So we might have somebody come in who will work with them on some fun games that they don't even realize are working on the hand-eye coordination. Or they used to enjoy gardening, and it's hard to think about that in November with snow on the ground, but the gardening, or maybe they've got an herb garden, or they want to do some correspondence and they need a little help with that. Or they just want to play games, or they love to play checkers or chess, but they have nobody to do that with. So it allows a caregiver also to get out of the home for a little bit of time. Maybe they can run to the grocery store by themselves, or go get their hair done, or just go and take a nap, and know that there's somebody in there who's providing some safe assistance for them. Again, non-medical, it's just companion care. And really, it's only been going on for a little over a year, and it's really taken off and is a really great additional service that we offer. And that came about through some strategic planning we did with our staff that said there's a gap in that kind of service. So all kinds of different things in caregiving that can help you, as well as this great support group. So what other topics do we have coming up? I'm trying to remember, I just put the flyer up. There's something about getting a good night's sleep. How much do they talk about that in the group? Is that I would imagine that's a big issue. What do you hear from that?
I personally, myself, when I was caring for my grandmother, she had sundowners. So she didn't sleep 24 hours a day sometimes. So sleep is a huge thing, because if you're run down, you get sick, you get ornery, you get sad. So sleep is very important. And we have one of our nurses that are going to come in and talk about that. Right. Like Virginia said, nutrition is coming. Physical activity. A lot of times you don't think about exercising because you're too exhausted, but keeping yourself healthy is huge.
And especially at this time of year when we're not outside as much often, because it's cold or it can be dangerous. But yeah, the sleeping, and imagine when we talked earlier how many people still are working. I can't even imagine if you're struggling with all of that.
That is hard. That is very hard. But usually in our group, there's no people working still.
Okay.
But we know there are people working. Yes, we know exist.
So
it does
just in this current makeup of the group. But we'd love to have more people in that group as well, because they are very welcoming to new people that come in.
They are. And they feel like the parents of the group, so they teach you. And I love
So it's a good way for them to find a real positive in what can be a frustrating and stressful situation that they've been caregiving for. How's the longest time you have anybody in there has been caregiving, can you think? I mean, some of them are newer, where this is something that's happened recently, a stroke or something, and then do we have people who've done this for years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking 5 years is the longest I can remember somebody saying that they've known about the condition
Okay.
for at least 5 years.
Right.
Yeah,
And of
from-
course,
from
sometimes
the
it's
beginning.
happened longer than that, but they haven't realized what's happening. So I would imagine that when you're dealing with this every day, that it would give you a good feeling to be able to help somebody else deal with a situation like that that's new to them.
Yes.
Because you've got all this wealth of advice or knowledge that maybe you would rather not have.
And
but
they have a lot of knowledge. They're teaching us a lot too.
They are.
They are.
Well, the difference that we have found, at least in our group, is they're getting the resources. When they say, I can't get this done, she goes to work and says, let me get my computer. We're going to get this done. And so we jump into action. If we know how to fix it, we're going to try to help fix it.
I'll do it immediately.
So
They feel trusted, yes.
So it's not just about helping them with their feelings, of course, but they're actually getting resources on how to get help.
Okay, so the help doesn't, they leave at 2:30, you're not saying, oh, now we don't talk to you till next week. You probably are doing some one-on-one with them and trying to help with the connections, because of course, that's what you both do in your day-to-day life. It's in your resources.
Yeah, because we are doing respite for them, and we give some help to take care of the loved one. They have to leave to go and let them go. But those who have no problem to stay, we can stay talking. Yeah.
I've seen you do it.
Oh, yeah.
They're lucky to have you both.
And I
so.
have a problem to talk, so I can talk in which language?
But I would imagine that for them, when they don't frequently have somebody that they can talk to, that's a really big relief to be able to stay and talk to somebody. I mean, I've seen when I've come in and the group is breaking up, I see a couple people that I assume are in the group, because I recognize one from the one time I went, that are still talking all the way out into the parking lot, standing talking at their car
Yes.
in decent weather.
Yeah, they're friends. Yeah.
Yeah, they're making friendships, they're meeting for lunch, it's great.
What a
I love it.
wonderful thing.
I love watching it.
It is.
One of the things that I'm excited about that we have coming up for senior resources that'll happen hopefully in 2018 is there's a movement in this country that came from the United Kingdom, from England, about dementia friends and having a dementia-friendly community. And since that is a lot of what we're dealing with, be looking for that when that gets started. We'll definitely be talking about that on the show. But one of the things I love about that is that other communities have done like a dementia cafe, where they find a restaurant that will host caregivers and their person with dementia, so they can come in together and network and do that same kind of thing and feel safe, because the staff at the restaurant has been trained in how to deal with somebody with dementia. That's something we're excited about bringing to our area, to our 3-county area, that we'll do training and try to make people understand that people with dementia are still people first.
Oh, yes.
And that there's ways that you can learn to be more comfortable with all of that and not find it very fearful. So
They have cards, actually, that all of them have cards that they can give the waitress
okay.
that says, "My loved one has dementia, please be patient." But that is something that they try to problem solve amongst each other, because they like to go out for lunch.
Right.
And sometimes they're embarrassed, so they try to figure out how to make that work.
Great. Well, it sounds like a really great group. So I want to encourage our viewers who don't have computer access to call and speak with one of our options counselors. We talked a lot about the website, but you can still call and talk to our options counselors. They're available Monday through Friday at 231-733-3585. So that's 733-3585. If you can't remember that number, you can always call 211. Tell them you want to talk to Senior Resources. They'll send you there. Any quick last minute, we have about a minute left, words of advice you have? Let's just remind everybody maybe of time, place for the support group.
Yep, the time is Fridays, every Friday of the year, unless it's a holiday, at 1 o'clock till 2:30. It's free, nobody has to pay anything, just show up. If you need respite, call us in advance.
How far advance should they call?
2 weeks, I would
Okay,
say.
2 weeks ahead.
In 2 weeks, we can figure out, and that's it.
All right, so
Just
roughly
enjoy.
1 till 2:30. Tanglewood Park, again, is located at 560 Seminole. For those who've been in the community a long time, it's the old D&W on Seminole in Norton Shores. Every Friday afternoon, it's free, no reservations needed. If you do need respite, call ahead of time to 739-5858 and tell them you need respite for the caregiver support group. Thank you, ladies, for joining and talking about such an important conversation. I hope that you see some more people come because of this. Remember that there's always help available for whether it's caregiver support, you need long-term care for your loved one or a friend or family member. You can call us at Senior Resources. We hope you have wonderful holidays, and we'll see you here in 2018.